Hey guys, it's Caleb with White Metal Games. It is Sunday the 30th of August, I think, and I just want to do a quick studio update, show you what's been going on this weekend. This weekend was a pretty big Terrain-o-Thon. I had a whole bunch of time to myself this weekend. My wife was out of town, so in my free time I worked on a lot of terrain, so why don't we look at everything that we did this weekend. So I've been really into a whole Cityfight thing recently. If you've never seen the Cityfight book, it's got some amazing pieces in it. So what I did was I wanted to do a bunch of Cityfight barricades. So I had these leftover bases that I had specialty cut. These are, I think, 100 millimeter long ovals. And I've been using them for another project, but that project had expired. So I had a bunch of these left over. So I used that to build some mini barricades. And here some of them are. As you can see, a lot of them are just, they start out with foam and then scrap bits of whatever you have laying around. These resin bases are skull piles that I bought from somebody. These used to be the icy hills I did a few months ago that I just wasn't entirely pleased with them, so what I did was I peeled the hills off the base and started over. So these are the starts of some scrap piles. And here's some more scrap piles and some resin pieces that are going on those. These are some Manufactorum walls. Let me see if I can't show you one of these. Let me see if I can't pull back so you can see it. So I had a whole bunch of this spare foam laying around. So what I did was I tore it apart and I mounted it to some of these MDF bases. So you can see here, it's medium density fiberboard. It's been beveled and sanded, and I just used some good old-fashioned liquid nail for this project. I like this stuff because it's hard, it's nice and firm, and it'll take paint well, and it has some definition, so it looks like it could be side of a building or something. I put a bunch of these Mechanicum symbols on them. And for some of the other pieces, this one's a more finished piece. It's obviously clearly not done, but it's more finished. Same concept. You just take a basic piece of foam, like this thing. You get these in. This I got from a light I installed in my house, but you can also get them from places like, home improvement projects, that sort of thing, schools, mailing. Just look around. There's plenty of them. You'll find them everywhere. So I basically take one of those, I cut it down, I put it on a piece of hardboard, glue it in place. I used my spray gun to put some black on this so that I could go ahead and paint it, but obviously that's just a first layer. It really just is covering it a little bit. And then I've been using this special stucco spackle. It's basically regular spackle that just has some sand in it and grit. I've been using that to fill gaps, and I try to go as flat as I can so that models can actually use it. It also gives the base some heft, so it's not going to tip over on the table at all. I like to leave these little places where if you can see it, you can barely see the numbers, but I like to leave those numbers on there because it gives you a little definition, like this was part of a building, like maybe it was an address or something like that. And so when this is painted up, it'll look nice. I've also got some taller wall sections, which is the same basic concept. You just stick it down on a hardboard base, stick a symbol on it or two. Really, one or two details will really sell your Cityfight terrain. This was a piece that I didn't really quite know what to do with, so what I did, it's more like a shadow box, so what I did was I kind of made it look like it was the door to some sort of hidden manufactorum, and then I put some details on there, put this big spare skull I had, and I tried to do it Adeptus style with a few mechanical bits on it, which you can see there, and the eye socket, of course. I had a couple of these spare Eldar cannons that I'm using as sort of underslung weapons, and then there's the big massive door here, and then I put some more of this spackle on there to make it look like hard rock, or this thing had been carved out of the side of a mountain or something. And then when this is painted up, it'll be a backdrop, so I can use that for my photo booth. So that's probably not going to be for sale, it's more just going to be for display and stuff. I got these spares from a Warhammer Tower kit, so I put those on some MDF bases and put a little of this spackle on there, so those will paint up real nice and simple. Here is a Slaanesh icon that I had made years ago, and I wanted it to be kind of rough, so I finally based that, put some spackle on that, and when that gets painted up, I'm going to put some greenery on that to make it look like this thing is just overgrown and dilapidated. I always meant to sort of clean this up, but I kind of like the rough-hewn look of it, so that's kind of an interesting piece. Here are some more buildings that I actually made these out of the regular kits, and then I just sort of tried to copy some of the GW buildings in their boxes, and applied some stucco to that, put a barricade up here, and then I just sprayed it. All of these colors were achieved with basic spray paint cans. This is a black undercoat with some blue and gray touch-ups. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my airbrush to do some very, very light airbrushing in a few areas, some silvers on the doors and golds and brass or something metallic. And that's basically probably all I'll do for these. These are nice and simple. They're meant to be an easy, quick project. See, this was just done with a black and a gray over that with a very, very light blue sort of spackled in there. So it gives you these illusions of airbrushed color, even though really it's just a few different layers of color. Here's a good place where you can see the different colors coming through. Up on top you can kind of see the fade. There's some blues, some blacks, some grays. And I like that. It gives it a little definition, but not too much, so it won't dominate your tabletop. This is a big box of random stuff. Mostly these are objectives. I've been building some objective markers. This is meant to be some sort of crazy mechanicum bit that you can look for in the games. Here's a couple stockpiles of weapons that I had spares left over from an IG kit. So this is a good way to get rid of some of those extra weapons to make it look like an ammunition dump or that sort of thing. And then I had some spare bits from some Valkyrie kits. This is a crashed pilot. Let me see if I can put him in the light so you can see him a little bit better. So this is a spare pilot from the Valkyrie kit, and what I did was I just put him in his ejector seat, and then I mounted him to a base to make it look like he's ejected, and he's currently in no man's land. I even gave him a pistol to make it look like he was... Sorry, the focus here is bad because it's the lighting. Anyway, give him a pistol, make him look like he's sort of fighting off the enemy a little bit. So I have a couple of those. So just lots of random objectives and some Aegis lines, which I'm going to paint up and put those up as examples on the store. If you follow my blog at all, you'll know that recently I partnered with a man named Will Shuck, who is a local painter. He's a resident painter. And he is now a GW painter in residence, meaning that basically he'll be painting projects for us and with us, and because of that we'll be able to do more. I'll be able to build, he'll be able to paint, we'll be able to put our projects together. We both will be able to work together on these projects, and as such, our projects will come out faster and more efficient. He's a much better painter than I am, so we can combine our talents. So look for his work. I've got a link that I should provide on this video, so you should be able to look for his link below. And we've currently listed quite a few army deals. So where basically you purchase an army through us. You could do, like, let's say a 2,000 point army or a 500 point army, a 1,000 point army. And it's sort of a pick and pull. So what it is to build your own army. You tell us what you want in your 2,000 points. You provide us with, we were asking $1 a point, so 2,000 points is $2,000, but we have a lot of perks in there. There's room for conversions. There's room for Forge World swaps if you're a Forge World guy and you want to do some Forge World models. And that's all included in your base price. So you could do a maximized Necron flyer list or a Tyranid list with some Harpies, or you could do an Imperial Guard list with a few Forge World tanks, and that's all included in your price. So take a look at the links for our eBay store and be sure to check that out. Here's some other stuff we're working on. This is our big pile of painting stuff. I haven't done much painting on this recently. A friend of mine turned me on to this idea of using objective markers. There's a new battle where there's a battle in the book that has 6 objectives, and each one is valued at either 1, 4, 2, 2, or 3, 3. So there are 6 objectives for 6 various points, and we were always writing them down on paper, but he had the idea just to mount some of these lamp posts to some bases and put some values beneath them. So I did that. These are a couple of Necron objectives that I think I've shown before. This is an old STAP version that I created that didn't really catch on, so I had one left over as a proxy that I'm going to use as sort of an archaeological dig piece. These guys are my Tyranids. They're going to get painted up soon, and I'm doing them in a cheetah pattern, which Will actually did a proxy of that for me. He did it the first piece, which I like this because it's nice and simple. It's a very simple, eye-catching pattern, and on the table that'll look sharp. So there that is. So look for that soon. Okay, what else we got? Let's see. I built up that Army of Cali piece last week, which I really liked and the client liked it. I liked it so much I decided to build one for me, which is rare. Mine's a little bit different. I used slightly different weapons, and I gave her this big skull to hold. It has been washed once, but I need to go over and wash it again. But this is a Lotus Warrior from McFarlane, and then you just paint it up metallic-y to make it look like a living sort of elemental of sorts. It would be great for D&D games. This is going to look really stupid right now, but I would ask that you hold off any of your laughter until I'm done with it, because what I wanted to do was do a Necron Sphinx. I saw this wonderful picture from an old D&D thing about this sort of bit of terrain that had been made, and it was cast by D&D for this game a long time ago, and they had these giant sphinxes that showed some of the stonework beneath them, and it showed the skull. And you can see it's upside down. Well, let me see if I can flip it around. So there you go. So anyway, so there's that, and I really liked it. So I wanted to do something like it for Necrons. I thought that'd be neat. So I found this giant T2 bobblehead, and I wanted to mount it to a lion, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money, so I found this cheap toy lion. So what I'm planning to do is give him a mane, like with some sort of cabling like this. But I'm not entirely sure it's going to work. Sometimes you have to try stuff to see if it works or not. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay, because you're trying new things. And I'm okay spending $20 and wasting it to learn a lesson and then to be able to apply that to something new. For example, this is a project I think is going to go really well. These are some pillars that I found. They're an old kit from a fantasy line, and they're designed to be wall pieces. But what I'm going to do is paint them up like Necron obelisks. And then there's these gaps on the side here. And we're going to put some green rod in there. I think it's going to be really sharp, actually. I think it's going to look nice. Moving right along. So, as you can probably tell by now, I love objective markers. I always like working out new objective markers. So these are a set of objective markers that I made for Necron players. I'll probably paint those up and put those up on the site for next to nothing. I just like variations on objective markers. I don't like people just using like little cheap stones. I think you should have something fun to play with. So those will probably go up. And a couple more Necron pieces. Necrons have tons of spares on their kits, and because of that you can build some really fun, innovative kind of things. This is a statue from another line of miniatures that I bought a bunch of these back in the day because they were cheap as dirt. And then all I did was just swap out the Necron head with a Necron head, give him a little hood, we'll put a little sword over there, swap out the hand, and he'll paint up just fine. So little Necron objectives. This is a bit of terrain that I'm building. So in the same spirit as that thing, I built these, the large T2 or large Terminator head. So this is supposed to be a mechanical Sphinx. So what I started with was a Thundercat toy and added a whole bunch of different Necron bits to it, this mechanical cable from another line of toys. And it's got some pooling there because I did a wash on it. I did this metallic paint and then a green wash. The head is actually from a Skeletor toy, but I liked the skeleton-like head, and I thought it was fairly Necron-y. So I thought this actually kind of worked. I put it over with on a base of an MDF base, of course, but then this is from a temple in the Warhammer line. A couple of these wedding cake pillars, and then this thing from the Indiana Jones line. I may actually put something in there to make it look like some sort of vast Ankh or something. And that'll be an area terrain piece. Now these are actually modular, they come off. I don't think I'm going to glue them down. I think I'm going to leave them separate, so that way if people don't like them, we can take them off. But I think they're okay. You know, they're not fantastic, but for what they are, they're not terrible for like a mechanical looking Sphinx. You know, obviously it's a matter of taste. If you don't like them, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to love them. Let's see. These are some very simple conversions I did for a friend, for Will. He's starting an IG army. So all we did was we found a whole bunch of these old heavy weapons guys, and we were out of spotters, so we used some regular IG guys to sort of create spotters. Put them on some resin bases. I had some old resin bases that I wasn't using, so that's a very, very simple conversion, easy to do. Resin basing is a lot of fun if you want some variations. Here's a Hellbrute we're going to paint up, put in our web store. So if you're looking to get just a Hellbrute painted, we're going to be able to supply that. Here is a Prime that I am going to have Will paint up for the store. And I'm actually going to put him in a squad. He's got this big cleaver-like sword, and he's Raven-reciting talons and this massive lash whip. I'm going to put him with a squad of these three guys. These are three traditional warriors with the new GW resin fine cast lash whip and bone sword. So I'm going to put him in a squad of those, and those will probably be up for sale. Here's an old Space Hulk kit that we managed to pick up the other day. We're going to paint that up and see how that looks. And that's just some Tyrann stuff. So, here we go. A couple of last things. These will probably be it for today because this video is getting kind of long. So I do parasites and Mortrex from time to time. So this is my most recent parasite conversion. This is based on a Ravener kit, which I love. I'm a big fan of the Ravener kit. The tail was heated up with a heat gun and then repositioned, and these wings are from a Crypt Horror kit from the Vargeist, and then is mounted to this 60 millimeter plastic base. I drilled a hole underneath of them to hold it. As you can see, that works pretty well. Now, I know traditionally people like to put the parasite on the 40s, and I've done that in the past, and I've penned them. But I guess I just wanted to see what he looked like on a flying stand, and he's too big for an infantry flying stand. And there's plenty of figures that are infantry-based that continue to go on 60 millimeters, like pyrovores and stuff, or even those guardsmen you just saw. Those are infantry on 60s. So sometimes it's just whatever fits. I like this guy a lot, actually. I'm not a big fan of the Parasite of Mortrix in the game, but I like the figure, so I may have to field him just to have the figure in my army. I especially like the ragged look of the wings. I know it's a vampire counts thing, but I think it kind of works to make him look. He's just an old Tyrannid. This I can't claim anything on at all. This is all Will. Will did this as a sample piece. The resin base is from a company called Dragon Forge, which is an amazing little company. The guy is a miracle. He does all the work himself. But he does great work. And this is basically, it comes like this unpainted, but all he did to paint it was he just applied some very basic creams and browns. And then this is what we call a leaping Swarmlord. We use the flying tail, but the regular Tyrannid body for everything else. And what he does is he just mounts it to this guy as a leaping pose. Now, this particular figure with this sort of gray-black skin and light blue carapace and weapons is for sale in the eBay store. If you look up Leaping Swarmlord, you'll find him online. He's going for, I think, $75, so a little bit more than a new one, but assembled on a beautiful base and painted. So if you have a blue color scheme in your army, this would be a great way for the figure to work in that and still stand out a little bit with his black skin, which I really like. We are offering this as a conversion as a Swarmlord, so you can do a leaping style Swarmlord, and he's fairly inexpensive. And we do offer to paint him as a service too, and I think that's $100 for the entire piece, painted in any color scheme you like for a basic color scheme. So that's it for this week. That's the big news, though, is that we've been working on a whole bunch of terrain, and the terrain we're going to finish up this week and get that out, or put that on the store, rather. And then basically just partnering with Will. We are offering what we're calling the Bounty Hunter Special, which basically is if you refer a client to White Metal Games and they buy an army, like they have to actually buy an army, we will give you value towards your own purchases. If you do a 2,000-point army, if someone buys a 2,000-point army and you referred them, we will either send you $50 in cash, whether a money order or a check or whatever you prefer. We won't send cash through the mail. PayPal will do that for you happily. Or we'll do you $100 of in-store credit, and that can be used for painting, assembly, models, anything in our store. We can't give you $100, but we'll give you $50, or we'll give you $100 in credit. If they do at least a 1,000-point army, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,999 points, we will do you half of that, so $25 of cash or $50 in credit. As long as you refer them to us, they buy an army. They have to actually buy it. And then even if it's less than 1,000, we'll give you $10 in cash or $20 in credit. So even if it's only a 500-point army, that's $20 of painting. So that's usually a figure. That's any figure that's up to $40 we'll paint for you for that. So if you have a character that you are just loving and you really want to get him painted, or even a couple characters, you could do that just by referring a friend to us for a 500-point army. If you have a new friend who's just getting into the hobby, doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't want to mess up his assembly, contact us. Look for a 500-point table-ready army on eBay, or look at one of the links below, and just contact us about it. And we're being very flexible with these deals, and that you can pick anything you like. This isn't a second-hand army that you pick up and that you're not happy with. This is a first-hand army that you pick, and you're allowed to swap out units. You can do Forge World units. You can do conversions. We think it's unlike anything out there on the web right now, even though the prices are, are comparable. It's not the cheapest I've ever seen, and it's certainly nowhere near the most expensive. A lot of armies like this will easily cost you $4,000. We're doing it for half that, and we're giving you every choice. You can choose every option, every item, every upgrade. You can have terrain in your army. You can have Aegis lines. You can have Fortresses of Redemption. You can have models that don't exist, like Tyrannid pods or Vendettas, or whatever it is you're interested in. We can probably convert it. We have thousands of pictures of conversions we've done, and Will is a very talented painter, and we're building a gallery of images for him that's over 500-600 now. We have examples from every major miniatures line, including War Machine and Hordes, 40K, and Fantasy. And we're building that daily, literally daily now. So, if you want to get involved, just contact us. Let us know if you're looking to pick up a model, a figure, an army, or if you're interested in seeing something, if you want to see us build something on the blog or on the website or on the YouTube channel, just comment. Comment, hey, I'd love to see you build this. And we'll take a look at it and see if we can work it in. And if we can, hey, maybe that'll be something you'll get to watch. So that's it. I think the video is getting about 20 minutes now. So sorry for my rant, but if you're interested in anything, just give us a call or an email, calebfilm@yahoo.com. And that's it. So until next week, happy wargaming. Bye-bye.